What if I were to tell you that the life you are now living, with all of its circumstances, its triumphs and its sorrows, is not something that is happening to you, but something that is happening from you? What if I revealed that the entire vast world is nothing more than a mirror, reflecting the being you assume yourself to be moment by moment? Most of us walk through this world as though we are passengers on a ship we did not charter, bound for a destination we did not choose. We plead with the heavens, we bargain with circumstance, we hope for a favorable wind. But tonight, I am here to hand you the captain's wheel. I am here to tell you that you are not the passenger. You are the sole navigating power of your vessel. The winds and the tides of life do not command you. They obey the commands you issue from the depths of your own being. This is not philosophy. This is law. And once you understand this law, you will never again see yourself as a victim of fate, but as the master architect of your reality. Tonight, I invite you to set aside the world you think you know. I ask you to temporarily suspend the beliefs you have inherited, the limitations you have accepted, and the evidence your five senses have presented to you as unshakable truth. For we are about to embark on a journey inward, to the very foundation of reality, to the one and only cause of the phenomena of your life. Most of us live our lives as though we are reacting to an external drama. We believe ourselves to be at the mercy of a world that is separate from us. We see events unfold, and we react with joy or sorrow, with hope or despair. We read the news, we look at our bank account, we listen to the opinions of others, and we allow these external things to define our inner state. We live as captives in a prison of our own senses, mistaking the shadows on the wall for the substance that casts them. Imagine, if you will, a man born in a cave, chained in such a way that he can only face the back wall. Behind him a fire burns, and between him and the fire, figures and shapes are paraded. All the man has ever known are the shadows these figures cast upon the wall before him. To him, these flickering shadows are reality. He studies their movements, he predicts their patterns, he believes his entire fate is tied to their dance. He does not know that they are merely faint projections of a higher, more substantial reality that exists just behind him. You, my friend, are that man. And the world of your senses, the world of Caesar, the world of so-called hard facts, is the cave wall. The circumstances of your life, the people, the places, the conditions, are the shadows. And you have been hypnotized into believing that these shadows are the cause. You have been taught to fight with them, to plead with them, to run from them, all the while remaining utterly unaware of the true world of substance that is casting them, the world of your own wonderful human imagination. This is the grand secret. You live not in one world, but in two, and the one you believe to be real is but a pale, delayed reflection of the other. The true world, the causal world, is your inner world. It is the realm of thought, of feeling, of assumption. It is the world of God. The outer world is its reflection, its objectification, its shadow. Your task is not to rearrange the shadows, but to become aware of the substance within you that is casting them. Let us use another, more modern analogy. Think of your life as a grand motion picture. The three-dimensional world you perceive around you is the screen. The people, the events, the conditions of your life are the images playing out upon that screen. The light that projects these images, the very substance of the film, is your own consciousness, your awareness of being. And the film reel itself, that is the sum total of your assumptions, your beliefs, and your dominant feelings. Now, if you were in a cinema and disliked the movie, what would you do? Would you run to the screen and attempt to paint over the villain? Would you scream at the images, demanding they change? Would you try to physically rearrange the pixels of light on the fabric? You would be considered a madman. You know instinctively that to change the movie, you must change the film reel being fed through the projector. You must alter the source of the images. And yet, this is precisely how we live our lives. We are the madmen in the cinema, fighting with the screen. We struggle with our poverty, not realizing it is but an image projected from a film of lack. We wrestle with loneliness, unaware it is a scene from a film of feeling unwanted. We battle our failures, blind to the fact that they are projected from a reel, etched with the assumption of inadequacy. I am here to tell you tonight to stop fighting the screen. Turn away from the world of shadows. Your freedom, your power, your entire creative capacity lies not in manipulating the outer world, but in rewriting the film within. For the law is absolute and unforgiving. Consciousness is the one and only reality. What you hold to be true in the depths of your being, what you assume and feel as real in your imagination, must be projected onto the screen of your world. It cannot be otherwise. This law of reflection is not a new thought. It is an ancient truth, spoken by the prophets and mystics of all ages. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Notice, it is not as a man thinketh in his head. It is not a matter of idle intellectual thought. It is the deep feeling conviction of the heart, the subconscious mind, that constitutes the creative film. The mirror of reality has no preference. It is utterly impersonal. It does not reward you for being good and punish you for being bad. It simply, faithfully, and unerringly reflects the face you show it. If you scowl at it, it scowls back. If you smile at it, it smiles back. It will reflect a state of lack just as readily and just as impersonally as it will reflect a state of abundance. Its only function is to show you who you have assumed yourself to be. Look at your life now. Look honestly. The state of your health, your finances, your relationships, all of it is a perfect reflection of your deepest held convictions. It is the crystallized result of thoughts you have entertained, feelings you have nurtured, and beliefs you have accepted as reality. If you do not like what you see, do not condemn the world. That is to blame the mirror for the face it reflects. Instead, have the courage to ask the only question that matters. What is the state of consciousness? What is the film reel within me that is projecting this unwanted reality? This understanding brings with it a profound and sometimes terrifying sense of responsibility. It means you can no longer blame your parents, your government, your past, or your stars for the conditions of your life. You are the sole author of your experience. But within that great responsibility lies a far greater gift, the gift of liberation. For if you are the cause of your misfortune, then you can also be the cause of your triumph. If your own assumptions have created your prison, then your own assumptions can set you free. Let us explore the nature of this mirror a little more deeply. One of its most merciful qualities is that there is a delay. The outer world does not typically shift instantaneously with every passing thought, and you should be grateful for this. If your every fleeting fear and idle negative thought were to instantly harden into fact, you would live in a world of unimaginable chaos. This buffer of time, this delay in the reflection, is a divine mercy. It gives you the space to choose your thoughts, to cultivate your feelings, and to persist in a new assumption until it becomes your dominant state. It gives you time to change the film before the next scene is projected. This is why persistence is so critical, a topic we will explore in great depth. But for now, understand this. Your current reality, the world you see today, is largely the projection of your past states of consciousness. It is old news. It is the echo of a song already sung. Your work is not to react to this echo, but to begin singing a new song from within, knowing that its echo will soon replace the old one. To make this practical, let us consider the concept of states of consciousness. Think of all possible human experiences as different rooms in an infinite mansion. There is a room called poverty, a room called wealth, a room called health, a room called sickness, a room called being loved, and a room called being ignored. You, your true self, your awareness of being, are not any of these rooms. You are the immortal inhabitant of the mansion, and you are free to move from any room to any other. You enter a room, a state, by assuming the feeling of being in it. Right now you are inhabiting a certain state. All the furniture in that room, the people, the conversations, the opportunities perfectly matches the nature of the state itself. If you are in the room of struggle, you will find that the people you meet confirm your struggle. The opportunities that arise are fraught with difficulty, and your inner conversations are filled with anxiety. Now consider two men working at the same company with the same title. One man inhabits the state of being overlooked and underappreciated. He goes to work feeling that he is not valued. In this state, his boss seems to always pass him by for promotions. His colleagues seem to take credit for his ideas. He finds evidence everywhere to confirm his feeling of being invisible. The other man, in the exact same external environment, inhabits the state of being essential and successful. He walks into the office feeling that his contribution is vital. In this state, he finds that opportunities seek him out. His boss consults him on important decisions. He feels a sense of ease and expansion. The external circumstances are similar, but because the two men are occupying two vastly different inner states, they are living in two completely different worlds. One man's world conforms to the assumption of failure, the other's to the assumption of success. So, the great work is this. You must learn to consciously choose the state, the room you wish to inhabit. You do this not by physically changing your location, but by changing your assumption of self in imagination. You must, in your mind's eye, move into the room of your fulfilled desire. You must shut the door on the evidence of your senses and furnish this new room with the feelings of security, joy, and gratitude. You must feel what it would be like if it were true until you feel that it is true. This is the great reversal of thinking that this teaching requires. You do not wait for the evidence before you believe. You believe first, and the evidence appears as a confirmation. You do not wait for wealth to feel abundant. You assume the feeling of abundance, and wealth is drawn into your world to reflect that state. You do not wait for another to love you before you feel lovable. You assume the feeling of being loved and adored, and you will find yourself loved in a way you never thought possible. This is the meaning of the ancient command to go within. It is a command to turn your attention away from the world of shadows and effects and to focus it upon the world of substance and cause. It is a call to stop trying to change the reflection in the mirror and to begin the real work of transforming the self that is being reflected. As we move forward in our discussion tonight, we will explore the precise practical techniques for achieving this transformation. We will dissect the art of assumption, learning how to craft a new self-concept. We will unlock the power of the statement that feeling is the secret, for it is the fuel that gives life to our assumption. We will understand the necessity of persistence and the art of revision, which allow us to remain faithful to the unseen reality. But all of these powerful techniques rest upon the one foundational law you have heard tonight. Your consciousness is the only reality, and your world is but its mirror. Accept this, and the world ceases to be your master and becomes your servant. Accept this, and you awaken from the dream of being a victim to the living reality of being the creator. The question is no longer, what will life bring me? The only question, now and forever, is, who do I choose to be? In our previous discussion, we established the one foundational law upon which all of life is built, that your outer world is but a mirror reflecting the state of consciousness you occupy within. We have turned away from the screen of circumstance and have begun to look towards a projector your own wonderful human imagination. Now, we move from the what to the how. If consciousness is the only reality, how does one consciously and deliberately alter their state of consciousness? How does a man fully aware of his present lack successfully persuade himself that he is abundant? How does one who feels lonely convince themselves they are loved? The answer lies in mastering the art of assumption. Let us first be perfectly clear about what an assumption is. It is not the weak and watery thing we call a wish. To wish for something is to stand at a distance and admire it. To wish is to confess that you do not have it. The universe, being a perfect and impersonal mirror, hears not your words of desire, but your deep underlying feeling of lack, and it faithfully projects more circumstances of wanting, of not having. Millions of people spend their entire lives wishing, hoping, and praying for something, and in that very act, they are cementing the reality that their desire is separate from them. An assumption is something far more potent. An assumption is a decree. It is the act of claiming ownership. It is to move from the consciousness of the beggar who desires a crust of bread to the consciousness of the king who knows the feast is already prepared. To assume is to clothe yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is to say, with the full authority of your being, I am that. These two words, I am, are the name of God. They are the creative power within you. Whatever you affix to I am, you become. For centuries, man has unconsciously used this power to his own detriment. He says, I am sick, I am poor, I am unlucky, I am struggling. He speaks these words with feeling, with conviction, and his world, being his obedient servant, says amen, and arranges itself to prove him right. Your work is to reclaim this power and use it consciously. You are to stop identifying with your problems and begin identifying with their solution. You are to stop claiming I am struggling to be wealthy and begin in the quiet chamber of your own mind to assume I am wealthy. This is not a lie. It is a claim upon a higher truth. You are choosing to identify with the creative power within you rather than the temporary shadows of the outer world. Now, how do we make this assumption take root? How do we plant it so deeply that it must blossom on the screen of space? For this, we must understand the nature of our own mind. You have two fundamental aspects, the conscious and the subconscious. Think of your conscious mind as the captain on the bridge of a great ship. It is the reasoning, waking mind. It makes decisions, it analyzes, it accepts or rejects information based on the evidence of the five senses. This conscious mind is the watchman at the gate. It is a necessary guardian for navigating the physical world. But it is also the source of all your doubt. It looks at your bank account and says, you are not wealthy. It looks at your past and says, you are not worthy. Your subconscious mind is the engine room of that ship. It is the vast, impersonal, and unimaginably powerful crew below deck. The subconscious does not reason, it does not argue, and it does not question the orders it is given. It only creates. It controls all the automatic processes of your body, from your heartbeat to the healing of a wound, without any conscious effort from you. In the same way, it controls the automatic unfolding of the events and circumstances of your life. Its sole function is to objectify whatever ideas and feelings it is impressed with. The great problem is that the watchman, the conscious mind, often prevents our new, life-giving orders from reaching the engine room. You may declare, I am successful, but the watchman, citing all the evidence of past failures, will reject the order. So, the art of assumption lies in finding a way to bypass this vigilant guard and speak directly to the creative, unquestioning subconscious. And the most sacred gateway, the most potent moment to do this is in the state akin to sleep, or what I call SATS. This is the drowsy, lucid state. you naturally enter twice a day, just before you drift off to sleep and for a few moments as you awaken. In this state, the conscious mind is relaxed, its grip is loosened, the watchman is drowsy and inattentive. The objective world begins to fade, and the subjective world, the world of imagination, feels intensely real. This is the moment when the veil between the two worlds is at its thinnest. This is the fertile ground where seeds of a new reality can be planted without resistance. The act of sats is not a complex ritual. It is a state of profound, relaxed focus. Tonight and every night, I ask you to make this a sacred practice. As you lay in bed, your body immobilized and comfortable, do not allow your mind to drift into the worries of the day. Do not review your failures or rehearse your fears. You are entering the holiest of holies, the creative workshop of God. Come with a clean purpose. Before we walk through the technique, let us address the common difficulties that many encounter, for they are easily overcome. Some will say, I fall asleep too quickly. If this is you, then do not perform the act while lying flat on your back, ready for a deep slumber. Instead, try it while sitting in a comfortable chair, or even upon first waking in the morning when your body is still, but your mind is rising from the depths. The state is the key, not the posture. Others will say, my mind wanders endlessly. Do not fight this. To struggle against your thoughts is to create more mental turmoil. Simply observe the thought and then gently, lovingly guide your attention back to your chosen task. The act of returning again and again is the very essence of mental discipline. It is like training a wild horse. You do not beat it. You gently guide it back to the path, time and time again, until it learns to walk where you direct it. And many will say, but I cannot visualize. I see nothing. This is the most common and most misunderstood obstacle. You are visualizing every moment of your day. To visualize does not necessarily mean to see a high-definition movie on the screen of your mind. Imagination speaks to all the senses. Can you imagine the feeling of velvet? Can you imagine the scent of a rose? Can you imagine the sound of a loved one's voice? If so, then you are a master of imagination. You may be more kinesthetic or auditory than visual. The key is not to see it perfectly, but to feel the reality of it, to make it so real in your inner world that it carries the tones of reality. Now, let us construct our blueprint. How does one craft the perfect scene for sats? There are 3 golden rules. First, your scene must be viewed from the first-person perspective. You are not watching a movie of yourself on a screen. You are the star of the film. You must see the world through your own eyes. If your desire is to own a new home, you do not see a picture of yourself standing in front of it. Instead, you feel yourself inside the house. You see the room from your own perspective. You place your imagined hand on the railing of the staircase, and you feel the solid wood beneath your palm. This first-person embodiment is crucial because it moves the experience from a detached observation to a present moment reality. Second, your scene must be short, simple, and static. Do not create a long, elaborate narrative. The drowsy mind cannot maintain focus on a complex story. You must condense the entire fulfillment of your desire into a single, simple, symbolic action, an action that you can loop over and over again like a lullaby. The shorter and simpler it is, the more potent it becomes through repetition. And third, and most importantly, the scene must imply the wish has already been fulfilled. You must go to the end. Do not imagine the process of getting what you want. Imagine a scene that could only take place after you have already received it. This is the most critical distinction. Let me give you 3 examples. Suppose you desire a promotion at work. Do not visualize the conversation with your boss where you ask for it. That implies you do not yet have it. Instead, go to the end. Construct a simple scene, like a close friend or your spouse shaking your hand and saying, "Congratulations on your promotion." That is all. In your sat, you feel the firm grip of their hand. You hear the genuine warmth in their voice saying those exact words. You feel the thrill of pride and accomplishment. You loop that simple act, the handshake, the words, the feeling over and over again. Suppose you seek perfect health, perhaps to heal an ailment. Do not visualize the medicine or the treatment. That is focusing on the problem. Go to the end. The end is health. What is an action that would imply you are already healed? Perhaps you are doing something you could not do before. A doctor who was told his hands were unsteady might imagine himself performing surgery with absolute precision. A person with a bad leg might imagine themselves running freely up a flight of stairs. In sat, you feel the surgical instrument steady in your hand, or you feel the muscular power in your legs. As you ascend the steps effortlessly, you loop that feeling of vibrant, restored health. Suppose you desire a loving, committed relationship. Do not visualize the first date or the chase. Go to the end. What is a simple act that implies you are already in that secure, loving partnership? It is the feeling of a wedding band on your finger. That is a perfect, static, symbolic action. In sats, you do not need to see a face. You simply relax, and in your imagination, you slide your thumb over the smooth, solid feeling of a ring on your fourth finger. You feel its presence. You feel the deep inner knowing, I am happily married. You do not question who or how. You simply feel the reality of that ring. That feeling, that simple sensory act, implies the entire fulfillment. Choose your scene. Make it personal. Make it simple. Make it an implication of fulfillment. Then, as you lay in that drowsy, receptive state, you bring this scene to life. You enter it. You are not a spectator. You are the actor. Saturate it with as much sensory vividness as you can muster. And then you loop it again and again and again. As you repeat the action, it will begin to take on the tones of reality. The feeling will intensify. Your goal is to reach the point of satisfaction, the point where it feels so real that you experience a quiet inner thrill, a feeling of it is done. This is the act of planting the seed. This is the mystical moment of impregnation. You are impressing your subconscious mind with the new reality. And once that impression is made, your work is done. The final step is the most crucial of all. You must let it go. You surrender. You fall asleep in that state, in the comfortable knowing that what you have just experienced in imagination is a fact in the higher reality of your mind. You do not need to repeat the act the next night unless you wish to. If the feeling was real, if you felt the thrill of fulfillment, the seed is planted. Now you must be the faithful farmer. You have placed the seed in the dark, fertile ground of the subconscious. You must not dig it up the next day with worry or doubt. You must trust that the unseen intelligence, which knows how to grow a mighty oak from a tiny acorn, also knows how to objectify the state you have assumed. This is the art of assumption. It is the conscious use of your God-given power to choose the self you wish to be. You are moving from a passive reflector of circumstance to an active projector of reality. You are no longer the man in the cave watching shadows. You have turned around, walked into the light, and taken control of the figures that cast them. But planting the seed is only the first step. That seed now requires nourishment to grow strong and break through the soil of the physical world. The water and the sunlight it needs are found in the substance of feeling, which is the profound secret we shall explore next. In our last session, we journeyed into the sacred chamber of the mind, the state akin to sleep. There, We learn how to bypass the doubting watchman of the conscious mind and plant a seed, a clear, vivid assumption of our fulfilled desire directly into the fertile, creative soil of the subconscious. Many have followed this instruction to the letter. They have crafted the perfect scene. They have repeated it faithfully, and yet they see no movement in their outer world. They come to me and say, I did as you said. I visualize wealth, but I am still poor. I imagine myself healed, but I am still in pain. They are like a chemist who has meticulously combined all the correct ingredients for a powerful reaction, but has forgotten to add the one element that provides the spark, the heat, the catalyst that forces the transformation. That missing ingredient, that divine spark, is feeling. Tonight, we delve into the most misunderstood, yet most vital aspect of the creative law. Feeling is the secret. It is the fuel that gives life to your assumption. It is the blood that flows through the veins of your imagined reality, transforming it from a mere picture into a living, breathing entity. An assumption without feeling is a dead blueprint. It is a lifeless form. It is a seed planted in dry, barren ground. It is the feeling, the deep conviction of its reality. That is the water, the sun, and the very life force that compels that seed to germinate and burst forth into the world of Caesar. Let us first distinguish between idle emotion and creative feeling. The emotions that flicker across your mind throughout the day, a flash of anger in traffic, a moment of happiness from a compliment, a wave of anxiety from the morning news, these are largely reactive. They are the automatic responses of a man who believes he is a victim of his world. He is a thermometer merely registering the temperature of the room. He finds himself in. He feels good when circumstances are good. He feels bad when circumstances are bad. This is not the power we speak of tonight. This is emotional slavery. The creative feeling I speak of is a far deeper current. It is a controlled, deliberately cultivated state of being. It is the conscious embodiment of a chosen reality. It is to cease being the thermometer and to become the thermostat. A thermometer simply reflects the environment. A thermostat sets the environment. It decrees a specific temperature, and the entire system must then work to conform to that decree. Your work is to become the thermostat of your life. You do not wait for the room to become warm to feel warm. You set your inner being to the feeling of warmth, and you trust the law to warm the room. When you perform your imaginal act in sadness, your primary, your only true objective is to summon the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do not struggle to make the image clearer. Do not strain to hear the words more perfectly. Instead, ask yourself this one profound question. If my desire were now a fact, how would I feel? And then surrender to that feeling. Clothe yourself in it. Would you feel a profound sense of relief, as if a great weight has been lifted from your shoulders? Then, in your imagination, take a deep breath and physically exhale that tension. Feel your muscles relax. Feel the quiet calm of a problem solved. Would you feel a bubbling, triumphant joy? Then allow a gentle inner smile to form. Feel the warmth spread through your chest. You need not shout your joy from the rooftops. It can be a silent, secret thrill, a deep and abiding satisfaction. Would you feel a wave of profound gratitude? Then let the words, "Thank you," well up from the depths of your heart, not as a petition to an external power, but as a confirmation of a deed already done. This is the alchemical marriage. Your assumption, the imaginal scene, is the bride. The feeling is the groom. When these two become one, a child is conceived. That child is the physical manifestation of your desire. Without this union, The bride remains barren. Let me tell you a parable. There were two sculptors, and each was given an identical, magnificent block of marble. Both were tasked with creating a masterpiece. The first sculptor looked at the marble and saw only stone. He saw its hardness, its weight, its imperfections. He took up his hammer and chisel and began to work with great effort and anxiety. He was fighting the stone, trying to force his will upon it. He was working for a result, and his every blow was filled with the feeling of struggle and doubt. The stone resisted him, and after much labor, he produced a crude and lifeless form. The second sculptor approached the same block of marble, but he did not see stone. He closed his eyes, and in his imagination, he felt the presence of the masterpiece that was already sleeping within the marble. He felt its perfect curves, its sublime grace, its finished beauty. He fell in love with the feeling of the completed work. He then took up his tools, not with the energy of struggle, but with the energy of love. He was not forcing his will upon the stone. He was simply chipping away the excess that hid the masterpiece he had already embraced within. He was working from the feeling of a finished reality, and because he was guided by this love, this inner knowing, every tap of his hammer was precise, and soon he had revealed the breathtaking masterpiece that he had first felt as real in his imagination. You are that second sculptor. Your life is that block of marble. Your five senses show you only the hard, unyielding facts of the stone, but your feeling-infused imagination allows you to perceive the masterpiece that sleeps within. Your work is not to fight your circumstances. It is to fall in love with the feeling of your desire fulfilled. And then, from that loving state, to watch as the excess stone of your current reality is chipped away, effortlessly revealing the form you have held within. This is the daily practice. This is the great discipline. It is to learn how to wear the mood of your wish fulfilled. In the morning, before you engage with the world, take a moment. Revisit the feeling you cultivated in SAT. Is it security? Is it love? Is it health? Find that feeling again and decide to wear it throughout your day, as you would wear your favorite coat. Then, as you move through the world of Caesar, you will be tested. The mail will arrive with a bill, and the old feeling of anxiety will knock at your door. A colleague will say something that provokes the old feeling of insecurity. Your body may present a symptom that tempts you into the old feeling of sickness. In these moments, you do not fight. You do not pretend the bill isn't there. You simply, quietly, refuse to take off your coat. You acknowledge the shadow on the cave wall, but you remember that you are the one who cast it. You gently return your attention to your chosen feeling, your inner reality. You mentally put your coat back on. You might ask, but isn't this dishonest? Isn't it a form of self-delusion? I ask you, which is the greater delusion? To identify with the fleeting, temporary, ever-changing world of shadows that is merely an echo of your past thoughts, or to identify with the eternal, creative, causal power within you? You are not pretending. You are being loyal to a higher reality. You are exercising your divine right to choose which version of yourself you wish to express and experience. The feeling of the wish fulfilled has a signature tone. It has a specific flavor. Your work is to become a connoisseur of this feeling. For example, the feeling of having wealth is not the ecstatic frenzy of winning the lottery. That is a fleeting excitement. The true, abiding feeling of being wealthy is one of security. It is ease. It is a quiet confidence. It is the absence of financial anxiety. That is the mood you must wear. You walk, talk, and act from a state of inner ease and security. The feeling of being loved is not the desperate longing for a person. It is the calm, centered feeling of being lovable, of being cherished. When you wear that mood, you cease to project neediness and begin to radiate an attractive confidence that the world cannot help but respond to. And of all the feelings in the creative armory, perhaps the most potent is that of gratitude. But it must be a specific kind of gratitude. It is not the gratitude of thank you for what you are about to give me. That is still a form of pleading. It is the gratitude of thank you for what I have already received. It is the feeling you would have after your prayer was answered. To feel genuine gratitude for something that your senses deny is to make the most powerful statement of faith possible. It is to say to the subconscious mind, it is done. This brings you to the ultimate state of creative feeling, the Sabbath, the state of rest. It is the feeling of it is finished. When you have successfully assumed your desire and saturated it with the feeling of its reality, you will reach a point of quiet knowing. The anxiety will cease. The striving will end. You will feel a sense of naturalness about your desire, as though it were already an unremarkable fact of your life. This is the Sabbath. You have done the creative work, and now you enter a state of rest, confident that what you have done in your imagination will appear in your world. You do not need to strive any longer. You simply walk in the calm assurance that it is so. So I implore you, pay attention to your feelings. They are the barometers of your soul, revealing the state of consciousness you currently inhabit. Do not be their slave. Become their master. Choose the feeling you wish to experience. Cultivate it in the silence of sats. Wear it as a garment throughout your day. Let it be the secret lullaby you sing to yourself. For your assumption is the blueprint, but feeling is the master builder. It is the energy that breathes life into the form. When you have successfully united what you imagine with how you feel, you have performed the sacred act of creation. You have set in motion an infallible and irreversible process, a process that builds an unseen bridge of incidents, which will carry you in the most surprisingly natural way from where you are to where you have decreed you shall be. And it is this mysterious bridge that we shall explore in our next chapter. We have laid the foundation. We have explored the law of reflection, the art of assumption, and the essential power of feeling. These are the pillars of creation. Before we move forward into the mechanics of how the unseen world unfolds into the seen, I invite you to become a part of this ongoing exploration. If these principles resonate with the truth within you, then subscribe to this channel. By doing so, you join a community dedicated not to wishing for a better life, but to consciously creating one. Now, let us continue our journey. We have successfully performed the sacred marriage in the temple of the mind. We have fused our assumption, the clear vision of our desire, fulfilled with the deep and abiding feeling of its reality. In that moment of union, a divine process was set in motion. A child has been conceived. Your work as the creative parent is now done. The subconscious, the divine womb, has accepted the seed, and it knows, with an intelligence far beyond our mortal comprehension, the precise and perfect process of its gestation. And it is at this very moment, when the true work has been completed, that the greatest enemy to your manifestation arises. This enemy is not an external force. It is not fate, nor is it the opposition of others. The enemy is your own servant, the conscious reasoning mind, and its tyrannical demand to know how. This question, how will it happen, is the serpent in the garden. It is the voice of doubt that undoes the most fervent prayers. It is the anxious digging up of the seed to see if it is growing. It is the single greatest reason why countless imaginal acts, though perfectly performed, are rendered sterile and fail to come to term. Tonight, we are going to disarm this tyrant. We are going to explore the beautiful, automatic, and often mysterious unfolding of your assumption into reality, a process I call the bridge of incidents. Your rational mind is a tool, and a brilliant one, designed for navigating the world of Caesar that has already been created. but it is a miserable failure when it comes to the act of creation itself. Why? Because your conscious mind knows only what it has already experienced. It can only build a path based on the past. When you ask it how to achieve a state you have never before experienced, it is like asking a man who has only ever seen a village to draw a map of the world. His map will be limited, flawed, and utterly inadequate. When you try to dictate the how, you are doing two things that guarantee failure. First, you are profoundly limiting your possibilities. You are telling the infinite creative power within you that it must confine itself to the narrow, well-trodden, and often blocked pathways that your limited intellect can perceive. You may believe the only way to financial freedom is through your current job, while the subconscious sees 1,000 other avenues, an unexpected inheritance, a brilliant new idea, a chance meeting, an investment that multiplies. By insisting on your tiny plan, you shut the door on 1,000,000 grander ones. Second, by focusing on the how, you are creating unbearable anxiety. You lay out your logical steps. First, this must happen, then that person must agree. Then I must get this approval. And when those specific steps do not immediately appear in the sequence you have demanded, you fall into despair. You conclude it is not working, and you abandon your assumption, thereby aborting the divine child that was growing in the silence. Your job is not to build the bridge. Your job is to simply cross it. You do that by living in your imagination on the other side of the bridge, in the destination you have chosen. The moment you do this successfully, the bridge itself will begin to construct itself, plank by plank, to bring you to where you are already residing mentally. This bridge of incident is the series of seemingly natural, normal, and often coincidental events that are set in motion to lead you to the physical fulfillment of your desire. The hallmark of this process is its absolute naturalness. It will not, as a rule, involve bizarre miracles that defy the laws of nature. Rather, it will use the laws of nature in a higher, more intelligent order than you could have conceived. Those who watch your life from the outside will not see magic. They will simply say you were lucky or in the right place at the right time. But you will know that it was not luck. It was the unerring logic of the law of assumption. Let us explore the nature of the materials from which this bridge is built. They are what the world calls accidents and coincidences. A chance encounter with a person you haven't seen in years, who happens to mention an opportunity, overhearing a conversation that gives you the exact piece of information you need, feeling a sudden, inexplicable urge to take a different route home, where you stumble upon something that moves your plan forward. These are not random events. They are the footprints of your unseen creative self, arranging the physical world to match the reality you have established within. They are the intricate, invisible threads being woven into the grand tapestry of your fulfillment. And here we come to a most profound and subtle truth. Sometimes the first plank in that bridge will appear to you as a disaster. Sometimes the path to your resurrection is through a crucifixion. The world will show you the very opposite of what you have assumed. And this is the ultimate test of your faith. Let me tell you a story. A woman living in a city she despised had a burning desire to live in a beautiful, faraway coastal town. She had no money to move, and she was bound by a long lease on her apartment. She performed her sats faithfully every night. In her imagination, she stood at the window of her dream home, smelled the salt in the air, and felt the profound peace of being there. She saturated this feeling with reality and fell asleep in that coastal town every night. 1 week later, she was awakened by the sound of rushing water. A pipe had burst in the apartment above hers, and her entire apartment was flooded, destroying much of her furniture and rendering the place uninhabitable. To the world of Caesar, this was a catastrophe. She wept, she felt despair. But the landlord, faced with extensive repairs, made her an offer. He would terminate her lease immediately and give her a modest sum of money for her damaged belongings as a settlement. She was now free. The very chains that held her the lease and the lack of funds had been broken by the disaster. The flood was not a punishment. It was the first dramatic and absolutely necessary plank in her bridge of incidents. It was a blessed disaster that moved her inexorably toward her goal. You must not judge by appearances. When you have set a creative act in motion, have faith. Events will begin to unfold. Some may seem favorable, others may seem discouraging. Do not be moved by either. Your only task is to remain faithful to your assumption, to continue living emotionally in the end. The infinite wisdom within you may need to clear the ground before it can build your new temple. It may need to tear down before it can build up. Trust the process. The bridge knows its own design. This brings us to the art of detachment. Detachment is not indifference. It is not that you no longer care about your desire. You care deeply about the end result. That is why you assumed it in the first place. Detachment is a divine indifference to the means. It is the serene trust of the king who has issued a decree. Imagine a great king who commands that a grand festival be held in 1 month's time. He decrees it. He feels the joy and satisfaction of the coming celebration, and then he turns his attention to other royal affairs. He does not run down to the kitchens to tell the chefs how to bake the bread. He does not instruct the musicians on how to tune their instruments. He does not micromanage the royal gardeners. He knows he has an army of servants who are masters of their craft, and that his command, once issued, will be obeyed. He trusts his servants to handle the how. You are that king. The moment you perform a successful imaginal act, you have issued a decree to an army of servants, the unseen forces and energies of the universe. Your only remaining duty is to act like the king. You must walk in the assumption that your command is already being carried out. To worry about the how is to abandon your throne and run down to the kitchens in a panic. It is an act of distrust. It is to behave like a peasant, not a king. So how does one practice this detachment? You do it by constantly returning your attention to the end, whenever the mind begins its frantic questioning. But how? When? Who will help me? You gently but firmly bring it back. You say to that voice, "That is not my concern. My work is done. It is finished." And then you once again feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You live from the end. A person who is already healthy does not concern themselves with the how of healing. A person who is already wealthy does not obsess over the how of becoming so. By embodying the feeling of the end, the problem of the means dissolves. When you live in this state of detached trust, you will find that your actions in the world change. You will cease all frantic, effort-filled, anxious striving. You will no longer force things. Instead, you will find yourself moved to perform certain actions. These will feel like inspired actions. They will feel natural, effortless, and obvious. That is you walking the bridge. You are not building it. You are simply taking the next easy step that has appeared before you. Your only responsibility is to define the destination, the what. You impress that destination upon your subconscious mind with faith and feeling, and then you must surrender the navigation to the master navigator within. The universe's job is to handle the transportation. The how. Do not confuse your roles. You are the passenger who has told the driver where you wish to go. Now you must lean back, trust the driver, and enjoy the journey, knowing that you will inevitably arrive at your destination. This is the path of faith. Faith is not seeing the entire bridge stretching across the chasm. Faith is the courage to step onto the one plank that has appeared before you out of the mist, with the absolute knowing that as your foot lands, the next plank will materialize. So, release your desperate grip on the outcome. Let go of your need to control. Your human intellect is a fragile raft in the infinite ocean of God's wisdom. Abandon the raft and learn to float. Trust that the currents of this great ocean know the way and are carrying you right now through a perfect bridge of incident to the shore of your fulfilled desire. But walking this bridge, especially when the winds of doubt blow and the fog of the senses obscures the view, requires a unique form of spiritual courage. It requires an unwavering loyalty to the destination you have chosen. It requires an unbreakable vow of persistence, which is the final key we must turn to lock in your new reality and ensure your safe arrival. We have traveled far on this inward journey. We have stood in the creative center of our being, chosen a new reality, clothed it in the tones of life through feeling, and surrendered it to the infinite wisdom that knows the means of its accomplishment. An invisible bridge has begun to form, and now you are called upon to walk it. But this bridge is often shrouded in a thick fog. This fog is the interval of time between your inner assumption and its outer fulfillment. And it is here, within this fog, that the great war is fought and won. It is here that most of mankind, lacking a certain quality of spirit, turns back and falls back into the familiar prison of their former self. That quality, that spiritual courage, is persistence. Persistence is not a grim, teeth-gritting struggle. It is not the anxious energy of forcing something to happen. True persistence is a serene and majestic vow of loyalty. It is the unwavering fidelity to a reality that is not yet visible to your mortal eyes. It is to choose which master you will serve. For you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve the new king of your assumption and at the same time bow to the old, deposed king of your five senses. The moment you perform your imaginal act, you have crowned a new king within you. If you have assumed wealth, then I am wealthy is your new sovereign. If you have assumed health, then I am healthy sits upon the throne of your consciousness. But the old king, the evidence of your senses, the facts of your life does not die instantly. His shadow still lingers. His old army of doubts, fears, and habitual thoughts still roams the streets of your mind, spreading rumors that he is still in power. Imagine a city that has just been liberated. The new rightful king is in the palace, but remnants of the old, defeated army are still hiding in the alleyway. They whisper to the citizens, nothing has really changed. The new king is weak. The old ways will return. The citizens who listen to these rumors remain fearful and act as though they are still subjects of the old regime. But the citizens who know the new king is on the throne ignore the whispers. They go about their lives with the joy and freedom of the new order. You are the citizen of your own mind. Will you listen to the whispers of the defeated army of your senses? Will you be swayed by the rumors of reason, which tells you, look, your bank account is still empty. The pain is still there. Nothing has happened. Or will you remain loyal to the new king you have crowned within? Persistence is this loyalty. It is to walk through your day as a loyal subject of your inner throne, regardless of the propaganda being spread by the remnants of your old self. This interval of time is not a test of God. It is a lawful period of gestation. It is the divine pregnancy. When a woman has conceived a child, she does not demand to see it the next day. She does not doubt its existence because her belly is not yet swollen. She knows a seed has been planted and a biological process has been set in motion. She persists in the knowing that she is a mother. She eats, sleeps, and acts in accordance with this new identity. This is the attitude you must adopt. You have conceived a new reality. It is growing in the womb of the subconscious. You must persist in the knowing of its reality and allow it to come to term in its own perfect time. To do this, you must become a master of your attention. You must starve the old man and feed the new. When the evidence of your senses presents itself, the bill, the diagnosis, the rejection letter, you do not fight it. You do not deny its appearance. You simply refuse to give it your primary attention. You acknowledge it as you would acknowledge a shadow. But you turn your inner gaze back to the substance that is casting it. You feel just for a moment the reality of your wish fulfilled. You say silently to the circumstance, you are but the past. You are the echo of an old song. I am now singing a new one. This is the vow of persistence. But what if there were a tool, a weapon so powerful that it could not only help you withstand the siege of doubt, but could actively dismantle the old reality and accelerate the arrival of the new? What if you could do more than just ignore the past? What if you could change it? This weapon exists. It is the most profound and misunderstood of all the mystical arts. I call it revision. Revision is the ultimate tool of the persistent soul. It is the key to what the ancients call the forgiveness of sins. A sin is not a breaking of a moral code. In its original meaning, it is to miss the mark. It is to fall short of your ideal. When you have an experience in your day that does not conform to the man you wish to be, you have missed the mark. You have sinned. The world teaches you to regret this sin, to carry its guilt, and to remember it as a fact. I am telling you that you are to do the very opposite. You are to annul it. You are to forgive it. By revising it, the practice is simple in its execution, but its implications are cosmic in their scope. At the end of your day, before you enter the state akin to sleep, you review the events of the day. You do not do this with judgment or regret, but as a detached observer watching a film. Scan the day from morning until evening. Did you have a conversation that went poorly? Did you receive news that caused you distress? Did you react with fear or anger? Did you miss an opportunity? Pinpoint these moments where you missed the mark. Do not dwell on them. You are simply identifying the weeds in your garden. Now, you are going to systematically uproot them. Take the first undesirable event. Let us say it was a contentious argument with a colleague. In your imagination, you are going to rewrite that scene. You re-enter that moment. But this time, the script is different. The scene unfolds as you wished it had unfolded. Instead of harsh words, you imagine words of understanding and agreement. Instead of a feeling of conflict, you imagine a feeling of harmony and a mutually satisfactory resolution. You must do this realistically. Feel the handshake of agreement. Hear the conciliatory tone in their voice. Most importantly, feel the inner relief and satisfaction of the revised outcome. Replay this new revised scene over and over in your mind's eye until it begins to take on the tones of reality. When the feeling of the revised memory is more real to you than the original event, you have successfully changed your path. Then you move on to the next sin of the day and do the same. You may ask, but how can I change what has already happened? You are asking the wrong question. You are thinking from within the prison of linear time. But in imagination, the one and only reality, the past is not fixed. It is as malleable as the future. The memory of an event is more important than the event itself, because it is the feeling associated with that memory that you carry forward, planting seeds for future circumstances. By revising the memory, you change its cause, and therefore you change its effect upon your future. Let me tell you a story. A man went for an important interview for a job he desperately wanted. The interview was a disaster. He was nervous, he fumbled his answers, and he left with a deep feeling of failure and humiliation. The old way would be to carry that feeling for days, solidifying his identity as a failure and ensuring he would fail at the next interview as well. But this man understood the art of revision. That night, He lay upon his bed and relived the interview. He relaxed himself, and in his imagination, he was once again sitting in that office. But this time, he was calm and confident. He answered every question with clarity and wisdom. He imagined the interviewer being deeply impressed, leaning forward and smiling. He imagined the scene ending with a firm handshake and the words, "Welcome to the company. We're delighted to have you." He replayed this revised scene again and again until the bitter memory of the actual event was erased, replaced by the sweet feeling of triumph. He fell asleep in the state of being successfully employed. The next morning, he felt no residue of failure. He was a different man. He was the man who had aced the interview. Later that week, the company called him. They said, "While the position you interviewed for has been filled, our director was so impressed with you that he created a new, better position for you." Did the revision magically change the minds of the interviewers? No. It did something far more fundamental. It changed the man. And as the man changed his consciousness, his world had to rearrange itself to reflect that change. He moved from the state of failure to the state of success, and the world, which is only a mirror, had to show him a successful outcome. Revision is the highest form of forgiveness. When you have a grievance against another, you revise the conversation. You imagine them being kind, loving, and understanding. By doing this, you are not condoning their behavior. You are freeing yourself from the poison of resentment. You are changing your assumption of that person. And as you persist in this new assumption, they will either conform to your new vision of them, or they will drift harmoniously out of your life. This is a profound mystery. Your daily practice of revision is not just about fixing your day, it is about redeeming your world. You are taking the discordant notes of your day and reorchestrating them into a symphony. You are cleaning the lens of your perception so that you can see the world not as it is, but as it ought to be, according to your ideals. Persistence and revision are the shield and the sword of the spiritual warrior. Persistence is the shield. It is your defensive posture. It is your refusal to be harmed by the arrows of doubt and the evidence of your senses. You hold fast to your inner knowing. Revision is the sword. It is your offensive weapon. With it, you go back and actively slay the dragons of past failure and regret. You do not leave enemies at your back. With these two tools, you are invincible. Each day, you walk with the shield of persistence, wearing the mood of your wish fulfilled. And each night, you wield the sword of revision, ensuring that no experience of the day can take root and grow into an undesirable future. You are pruning the tree of your life daily, cutting away the dead branches and ensuring that all the life force flows toward the fruit you have chosen to bear. When you master this vow of persistence and this art of revision, you will find that your consciousness has fundamentally shifted. The new state is no longer a place you visit in your imagination at night. It has become your home. It is your natural dwelling place. And when your new assumption becomes your constant, natural state, you will find that it is no longer something you are doing, but something you are. You begin to effortlessly think, speak, and act from that state. You begin to embody the new man, which is the final glorious stage of the creative act we shall explore next. Throughout our journey together, we have journeyed deep into the landscape of the soul. We have stood in the creative center of the universe, our own imagination, and planted a seed of a new reality. We have watered that seed with the life-giving rain of feeling. We have learned to trust the unseen bridge of incidents that automatically springs forth to meet us. We have taken up the shield of persistence and the sword of revision to guard our inner garden from the invasions of doubt and the ghosts of the past. Now we arrive at the final glorious stage of this alchemical process. It is the stage of birth. It is the moment when the child that was conceived in darkness is ready to be born into the light of the world. This is the stage of embodiment. It is the process by which the imagined self, the new man, ceases to be a visitor in your consciousness and becomes the permanent resident. It is the point where you stop doing the work and you start being the work. Until this point, your primary focus has been internal. But the creative act is not complete until the inner truth is expressed effortlessly and naturally in your outer life. Your every word and every action must become a testament to the new reality you have claimed within. For you cannot long serve two masters. You cannot be a king in your imagination and a pauper in your speech. You cannot be healthy in your sat and a patient in your daily actions. The inner and the outer must become one, for the world is a mirror, and it must reflect a single coherent image. Before the new man can be born, the old man must be allowed to die. You must be willing to conduct a funeral for your former self. You must be willing to let go of the familiar, comfortable identity defined by your problem. Man is a creature of habit, and he often clings to the chains he is used to. He finds a strange comfort in his story of struggle. He knows how to be the man who is always broke or unlucky in love. His friends know him as this man. His family knows him as this man. To let go of this identity can feel like a terrifying leap into the unknown. You must be willing to take that leap. You must consciously decide to stop giving CPR to your former self. Let him die. Let go of the need to tell his story. Let go of the habit that sustained him. Let go of the conversations that gave him life. You may find that as you do this, your world begins to shift in strange ways. Friends who only knew how to connect with you through complaining may drift away. Hobbies that were born of your limitations may cease to interest you. This is not a cause for alarm. It is a sign of your success. The stage is being cleared for the grand entrance of the new man. The first and most powerful expression of this new man is through your words. Your words are not mere sounds that describe your reality. They are creative vibrations that decree your reality. The universe is not deaf. It is listening intently, not to your pleas, but to your declarations. And your most frequent declarations are found in your habitual speech. So you must begin a rigorous discipline of the word. And this discipline begins with your inner conversation. What is the monologue you are having with yourself all day long? This inner speech is the true prayer, always being answered. Are you internally rehearsing arguments? Are you complaining to an imaginary audience? Are you worrying in words? If so, you are praying for chaos, lack, and fear. You must become the master of this inner dialogue. You must begin to speak to yourself as the man or woman you have decided to be. The man who is already successful does not spend his day internally berating himself. He congratulates himself on a job well done. He plans his future from a position of confidence. The woman who is already loved does not have inner conversations of rejection. She has loving, harmonious dialogues with herself and with the imagined presence of her beloved. You must start having the inner conversations of the wish fulfilled. From this sanctum of inner speech, your outer words will begin to change. I call upon you to take a vow of silence, not silence of the voice, but silence on the old story. Make a pact with yourself that you will no longer speak of your problems. You will no longer give voice to lack, to limitation, to sickness, or to sorrow. When friends or family try to pull you back into the old narrative, you do not argue. You simply, quietly refuse to participate. You can change the subject, or you can say, with a calm finality, I no longer wish to discuss that. Let's talk about something more lovely. You must then master the art of reframing. Your vocabulary must reflect your new state. A man who is the embodiment of wealth does not use the words, I can't afford that. That phrase is a curse. It is an affirmation of lack. Instead, he might say, that is not a priority for me right now, or I choose to place my resources elsewhere. The first is a statement of powerlessness. The second is a statement of choice and authority. A woman who is the embodiment of health does not say, I am sick. She might say, my body is in the process of healing itself, or I am focusing my attention on my natural state of well-being. Speak from the end. When you talk about the future, speak of it with the quiet certainty of one who knows where they are going, because in imagination they are already there. This is not lying. This is being loyal to the only reality that matters, the reality within. Now we come to the final seal of embodiment, your actions. If your words are the decree, your actions are the royal seal that makes it law. Your physical body is the densest part of your being, and when you get it to conform to your assumption, the creative act is complete. Let me tell you a parable. A young man was born a prince, but as an infant, he was spirited away during a rebellion and raised in a remote village as a simple peasant. He grew up knowing only the life of a pauper, the posture of deference, the speech of humility, the habits of lack. One day, a royal envoy discovered him and revealed his true identity. Intellectually, the young man now knew he was a prince. But did he instantly become one? No. He still walked with a stoop. He still spoke with hesitation. He still thought in terms of scarcity. He knew the truth, but he had not yet embodied it. His wise mentor did not give him books on kingship. Instead, he said, from this day forward, you must act as if you are already king. When you walk, walk as a king would walk, with your head held high, as if you own the very ground beneath your feet. When you speak, speak as a king would speak, with calm authority, not with the pleading tones of a peasant. When you make a decision, make it as a king would, from a place of responsibility and power, not from fear. At first it felt like a costume. He felt like an impostor. But day by day, as he consciously chose the actions of a king, something miraculous happened. The stoop in his shoulders straightened. The hesitation in his voice vanished. The mindset of lack was replaced by a sense of royal assurance. The suit of the king was no longer a costume. It had become his skin. He had, through his actions, made his royal identity a natural fact. And because he had so perfectly embodied the king within, his outer world rearranged itself, and he was soon restored to his rightful throne. You are that exiled prince. Your imaginal act has revealed to you your true divine identity. Now, you must claim it with your actions. You must walk, talk, dress, and act as if you were already the man you have assumed yourself to be. Every action you take is a vote. When you slump in your chair, you are casting a vote for the old self of defeat. When you sit up straight, you are casting a vote for the new self of confidence. When you neglect your appearance because you feel unworthy, you vote for the old self. When you care for your body and your clothing, as befits the noble being you are, you vote for the new self. And this applies most critically to the subject of money. To act as if you are wealthy is not to spend recklessly. That is the action of one who fears money and does not understand it. A truly wealthy person is often a wise steward of their resources. To act wealthy is to cease your anxious relationship with money. It is to pay your bills not with fear, but with gratitude for the abundance that allows you to do so. It is to tip generously from a consciousness of surplus. It is to manage the money you do have with the calm confidence of one who knows that its source is infinite and that more is always flowing. You act from a place of security, not scarcity. When all of these components, your inner conversation, your outer words, and your daily actions are in perfect harmony with your assumption, you will reach a magical state. It is the state of naturalness. It is the point where the new identity no longer feels like something you are trying to be. It is simply who you are. The effort ceases. The discipline becomes your nature. To think a thought of lack feels foreign. To speak a word of doubt feels strange. When your desired state feels as natural to you as your own name, its manifestation in your world is not only imminent, it is inevitable. It must happen. For you have fulfilled the law. You have successfully died to the old man and have been reborn into the new. You have not changed a single thing in the outer world. Through force, you have only changed yourself. And in changing yourself, you have changed everything. You have completed the creative cycle. You have moved from assumption to feeling, to trust, to persistence, and finally to a complete and total embodiment. You have awakened to the truth of your own being. You are no longer the clay, you are the potter. You are no longer the painting, you are the artist. You have become the conscious architect of your reality. Now let us gather all that we have learned and step fully into the power and the glory of this truth. We have come to the end of our journey through the mechanics of creation, and we stand now at the beginning of your true life. We have traveled from the outermost courts of confusion to the innermost sanctum of causation. Let us for a moment look back upon the path we have trod. First, we awaken to the law of reflection, realizing that the entire world and all its phenomena are but a mirror reflecting the being we assume ourselves to be. We turned our back on the screen of circumstance and faced the projector of our own consciousness. Then we learned the art of assumption, the sacred technique of planting a new seed in the fertile ground of the subconscious through the state akin to sleep. We learned to bypass the doubting watchman at the gate and impress our new reality directly upon the creative power within. We discover that feeling is the secret, the divine water and sunlight that gives life to our assumption. We learn to move from the barren mechanics of wishful thinking to the potent alchemy of clothing ourselves in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. From there we learn to trust the bridge of incident, that mysterious, automatic, and always natural unfolding of events that carries us from our present state to the physical embodiment of our assumption. We learn to let go of the tyrannical demand to know how, and to adopt a divine indifference, trusting the infinite wisdom to manage the means. We took the sacred vow of persistence and armed ourselves with the art of revision. We learned to stand firm in our inner knowing during the inevitable delay, and we were given the sword to change our past and thereby redeem our future, ensuring that no experience could ever again hold us captive. And finally, we learned to embody the new man, to allow our inner transformation to saturate our every word and action until the assumed state becomes our natural, habitual identity. Each of these steps is a gate, and in passing through them, you have been preparing yourself for one final, monumental revelation. It is a truth so simple, yet so profound, that once it is truly grasped, your life can never again be the same. All of these techniques, all of these laws, are but different facets of one single, glorious diamond of truth. And that truth is this: you are the operant power. What does this mean? Operant means to be in effect, to be the one that is working. It means that in your world, there is only one cause, one power, one creator, and that power is your own consciousness. There is no other. Nothing in your world happens to you by accident. Nothing is the result of luck or coincidence. There are no external forces pulling the strings of your life. Every person, every condition, every circumstance, and every event you have ever experienced was brought to you because of the state of consciousness you were occupying at the time. For centuries, man has lived under a great hypnosis. He has believed himself to be a puppet, his strings pulled by a distant God, by fate, by his past, by his genetics, by the economy, by the actions of others. He has looked at the world and seen a million different causes for his joy and his sorrow. And so, he has spent his life petitioning, begging, fighting, and running from these external powers. I am here tonight to cut those strings. I am here to tell you that you are not the puppet. You are the puppeteer. And all the strings lead back to your own wonderful human imagination. This is the great revelation. The creative power that men have called God is not in the sky. It is within you, as your very own awareness of being. The ancient scriptures command, "Be still and know that I am God." This is not a command for a separate being called man to be quiet and acknowledge an external deity. It is a mystical instruction. Be still. Still the chattering of your conscious mind. Still the parade of your five senses, and know that I am your awareness, the feeling of your own existence. That which knows it is God. Your I amness is the creative power. It is the formless awareness that precedes all creation. Think of the parable of the potter and the clay. You are not the clay vessel, the body, the personality, the name, the history that you call you. That is merely the form. You are the potter. You are the formless awareness that is dreaming. You are the vessel. And because you are the potter, you have the power to reshape the vessel at will. The great work of life is not for the clay to improve itself, but for the potter to awaken to his own identity within the dream. When you truly grasp this, you cease to be a petitioner, and you become a decreer. You no longer pray to God, you pray as God. You do not ask for abundance. You go within, assume the state of abundance, and give thanks that it is so, knowing that your own declaration makes it fact. You are the source of all that you behold. This brings us to one of the most profound and challenging implications of this law. If you are the only creative power in your world, what does that say about everyone else in it? The answer is this: everyone is you pushed out. The people in your world are not separate, independent actors who are doing things to you. They are messengers. They are actors on your stage, playing a part that you have written for them in the script of your own consciousness. Their behavior towards you is always a perfect reflection of your own assumption of them, and more deeply, your assumption of yourself in relation to them. If you assume you are unlovable, you will write a script where others play the part of rejecting you. If you assume you are a victim, you will cast villains to play opposite you. If you assume you are wise and respected, you will find that even strangers will treat you with deference and seek your counsel. You cannot change the actor. You must change the script. When you have a grievance against another, the temptation is to blame them. But the mystic knows that the other is only showing him an aspect of his own consciousness. To change them, he must change himself. He goes within and uses the art of revision. He revises the conversation. He changes his assumption of that person. He imagines them as noble, loving, and kind. And as he persists in this new assumption, a miracle happens. The person in his outer world either conforms to this new loving role, or they drift harmoniously out of his life, and another enters to play the part. This is the ultimate in personal responsibility. It is also the ultimate in freedom. It means you are never again a victim. No one can hurt you. No one can stop you. No one can fail you, because there is no other in that sense. There is only the one creative power, and all are reflections of it. Your only work is to imagine lovingly for yourself and for others, knowing that in doing so, you are creating a more beautiful world for the one being who inhabits it. And so, we come to the final, ultimate choice that lies before you at every moment of your life. Now that you know this law, you can no longer plead ignorance. You must choose. Will you continue to live the life of the creature, the life of the thermometer? Will you continue to react to the world of your senses, allowing its shadows to dictate your feelings, thereby perpetuating the same cycles over and over again? Will you live as a mirror, passively reflecting whatever drama happens to be playing before you? Or will you choose to live the life of the Creator, the life of the thermostat? Will you accept your divine authority as the operant power in your world? Will you turn your back on the army of the senses and remain loyal to the unseen king within? Will you dare to believe that your imagination is God in action, and that what you decree in secret will be rewarded openly? Will you choose to be a face, an active source of creation, knowing that the mirror of the world has no choice but to reflect you? The life of the Creator is not one of constant struggle and mental effort. As you practice this law, it becomes your nature. It becomes a life of grace, of flow, of knowing. You walk in the calm assurance that your world is your friend, for it is your very self. You cease the anxious striving, for you know that what you desire is already yours for the claiming in imagination. You move from a consciousness of lack to a consciousness of gratitude, giving thanks not for what is coming, but for what already is, in the only reality that matters. This is your inheritance. This is the power you have always possessed, but perhaps did not know how to use. Do not take my words as mere theory. Take them as a challenge. Test this law. Prove it in your own experience. Take a simple desire and dare to assume it is already a fact. Clothe it in the feeling of reality. Persist in it, and watch as your world, that faithful mirror, begins to change in conformity with your changed conception of yourself. You are the architect of your reality. The blueprint is your imagination. The building materials are your feelings. The tools are your attention. The time to build is now. Go forth from this place, not as the man or woman you thought you were, but as the creative power you now know yourself to be. Choose the life you wish to experience. Enter the state of it in your imagination. Live there as if it were true, and you will find that you have always held within your own wonderful human imagination the key to a life beyond your wildest dreams. For you are not a creation. You are the Creator. You are the operant power, and it is done unto you as you believe. Your journey from being a creature of circumstance to the Creator of your world has now truly begun. This was not just a lecture. It was an invitation to awaken to the power that you are, to continue to walk this path, to deepen your understanding, and to join a community of conscious creators. I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Stand with us as we all learn to wield the greatest power in the universe, our own wonderful human imagination. Thank you.